Welcome back, Night Dwellers. I'm your host, Mothy. Last time, the silence was broken. Stones cracked, creatures crawled free, and our team discovered the nightmare isn't just real, it's multiplying. Now, as the city falls into chaos, the truth begins to take shape. But with every answer comes a bigger question. How do you kill something that should not exist? Tonight, survival means running faster, thinking smarter, and staying out of the shadows. This is They Hatched Among Us, Part 3.
Tune in close, dim the light, simple dark tales late at night.
Dalton's jaw tightened, his mind working quickly through the possibilities. We need to test it. Theo scanned the road ahead and motioned toward an underpass just off the highway. Pull in there. We can lose him in the dark and regroup. Dalton didn't argue. He swung the car sharply, the tires screeching as they veered off the main road and into the shadows beneath the overpass. The dim orange light of the streetlights barely penetrated the darkness, leaving them shrouded in a pocket of eerie silence. The car rolled to a stop. No movement, no sign of pursuit. Dalton exhaled and turned in his seat. All right, we're alive for now. Let's figure this out. Lucy wiped a shaky hand down her face. Salt. It's not just a deterrent, it burns them. Theo tapped his fingers against his knee, his mind racing. That makes sense. The creatures must rely on moisture to survive, like some earth insects. If their exoskeletons are vulnerable to dehydration, then salt might be our best weapon, Dalton finished, nodding. But we need to be sure. Lucy dug into her bag, her fingers closing around the remnants of her shattered salt lamp. She held out a handful of coarse grains. We need to test it on one of them. A long silence hung between them before Theo spoke. And how do we find one that won't kill us first? As if answering him, a faint clicking noise echoed from beyond the underpass. Low, skittering, hunting. Dalton tightened his grip on his knife. I think we just found our volunteer. The creature scuttled closer, its bioluminescent shell casting an eerie glow against the damp concrete. Its mandibles clicked hungrily, tasting the air as it moved with an unsettling precision. Theo reached into his pocket, his fingers closing around a handful of salt from Lucy's broken lamp. He locked eyes with Dalton. We need to get close enough to hit it. If this works, we might have a chance. Lucy's breath came fast and shallow as she held on to the last remnants of her salt. We can't fight it head on. We need a distraction. Dalton nodded and motioned for them to spread out. As Theo edged toward a crumbling pillar, Lucy pulled a metal wrench from the car's emergency kit and hurled it towards the opposite end of the underpass. The clang echoed, and the creature twisted its body with an unnatural snap, skittering toward the noise. Now, Dalton hissed. Theo lunged forward and flung the salt. The grain stuck to the creature's glossy exoskeleton, and the reaction was immediate. The beast shrieked, its body convulsing as the salt burned into its shell. Wisps of steam curled from the impact site, bubbling as if it had been scalded by acid. The creature thrashed violently, ramming into the side of the underpass before scuttling away, disappearing into the night. A stunned silence followed. Lucy exhaled a shaky breath. It worked. Dalton turned back to the others. We need more salt. A lot more. Theo wiped his hand over his face. The water treatment plant in town, they use massive amounts of salt for purification. If we can get there, we might be able to make weapons out of it. Lucy nodded. And if we can get a signal, we can contact the military. If they deploy heavy weapons coated in salt, we might stand a chance. Dalton didn't hesitate. He yanked the car door open. Then let's move. We're running out of time. Dalton floored the gas pedal, sending the car roaring out from beneath the underpass. The road ahead was chaos. Abandoned vehicles littered the streets. Many crashed into lampposts or storefronts, their windshields shattered, airbags deployed. Some cars still had doors flung open, the eerie signs of their occupants having fled in terror. Smoke curled into the night sky from a burning truck up ahead, casting flickering shadows against the surrounding buildings. Sporadic gunfire cracked in the distance, followed by inhuman shrieks that sent a chill up Lucy's spine. The city was crumbling under the onslaught of the creatures, and they had only just begun to spread. Theo clenched his fists as he scanned the streets. "We're not the only ones still fighting," he muttered, his voice grim. "But if we don't move fast, there won't be anything left to save." Lucy's eyes darted to the sidewalks, where discarded bags, broken cell phones, and even splatters of dark stains painted the pavement. The bodies were missing, dragged away. "Just keep going," she said, unable to look for too long. The closer they got to the water treatment plant, the fewer signs of human resistance remained. The street lights flickered erratically, casting eerie, stuttering glows over the looming industrial complex in the distance. A tall, chain-link fence surrounded the facility, razor wire looping along the top like a barrier against an enemy that wouldn't care about such obstacles. Dalton pulled the car to a stop just outside the perimeter. The massive storage silos stood like silent sentinels, condensation beating down their metal surfaces in the cool night air. The facility appeared deserted, but the heavy silence made it feel anything but safe. "All right, we get in, we find the salt, we make this work," Dalton said, gripping the steering wheel before glancing at Theo. "Any chance the military got your message?" Theo checked his phone, but the signal was still weak, the screen blinking with an undelivered notification. "Not yet. We might have better luck inside. They could have emergency communication set up." Lucy swallowed hard as she peered at the facility's entrance. The main gate had been forced open, not by people. Deep gouges raked across the metal, and something thick and dark stained the ground just beyond. Dalton followed her gaze, his expression hardening. "We're not alone. Stay sharp." As they crouched behind the car, watching the entrance, the emergency door near the side of the facility burst open. A lone figure stumbled out, breath ragged, silhouetted against the dim interior light. They wore a tattered maintenance uniform, their face pale and streaked with grime. Blood smeared one of their sleeves, and their wide, terrified eyes darted around as if expecting something to lunge after them at any moment. The figure turned sharply and slammed the door shut behind them, fumbling to shove a wrench through the handle as a makeshift lock. A few muffled thuds came from the other side, followed by skittering noise that made Lucy's blood run cold. The worker took one last shaky breath before sprinting toward the road, disappearing into the shadows without ever looking back. Dalton exchanged glances with Theo and Lucy. "That's our way in." Theo exhaled. "Yeah, but whatever's in there isn't going to be happy we showed up." Lucy tightened her grip on her bag and nodded. "Then let's not waste any time." Sticking to the shadows, they moved swiftly toward the emergency exit, the distant sound of the city's destruction still echoing behind them. As they approached the facility, the air grew thick with the scent of chemicals and something far worse, something rancid, like rotting meat left out in the sun. A faint buzzing filled the air, the sound of flies swarming unseen horrors within the plant. The fluorescent light above the emergency door flickered erratically, casting sharp, jagged shadows along the cracked pavement. Lucy's breath hitched as she stepped in something slick. She glanced down and immediately regretted it. A dark, viscous substance trailed away from the door, leading toward the side of the building. It gleamed under the weak light, too thick to be water. "Blood?" she whispered. That concludes today's episode. Join us next week for another spine-tingling tale here on Simple Dark Stories. If you enjoyed this and would like to help out, please give us 5 stars and let us know what haunts your dreams. Until next time, bye-bye.